And you know, Kirsten Sinema has reason to celebrate right now, too, because she just became the first Democratic senator of Arizona elected in 42 years. But she says it's not just a victory for Arizona. And she also knows that she has some huge shoes to fill. Take a look.
Arizona rejected what has become far too common in our country: name-calling, petty personal attacks, and doing and saying whatever it takes just to get elected. It's dangerous, and it lessens who we are as a country. Senator McCain is irreplaceable, but his example will guide our next steps forward. He taught us to always assume the best in others, to seek compromise instead of sowing division, and to always put country ahead of party.
I mean,
The Democrat is invoking the Republican name.
well, but it's the Republican name that is the barrier,
It's Arizona,
the height of where we have to start. I mean,
Did the Republican candidate mention John McCain?
So this is interesting for a lot of different reasons, and I'm so excited I finally know who my senator is. Kirsten Sinema, first woman senator from Arizona, first Democrat since 1976, since before I was born in Arizona. It's a big, interesting night. She's the first openly bisexual senator ever.
Was that part of her
openly
campaign?
bisexual.
And not religious.
I don't know enough about her faith, but she ran when she was in Congress. She was very, very, very far left, completely moderated when she ran in the Senate. She came out supporting sending troops to the border.
Mm-hmm.
She was, I wouldn't say supportive of President Trump, but she wouldn't knock his supporters. She was running against Martha McSally, who was a combat veteran for the Air Force. What's interesting about Martha McSally is after she won the primary, she went with President Trump and signed the defense bill, which was named in honor of my father, and refused to say my father's name. To say it didn't go over well with me and many Arizonans is putting it nicely. I don't think that's why she didn't win. This is a very close race for a lot of different reasons. But I hope she continues, Kirsten Sinema, running and governing now as the more moderate Democrat that she ran on. And it's a really interesting day for Arizona, and I'm really touched that she decided to invoke my father.
well, yeah, because you know, you can't talk about Arizona without talking about your dad, and that bar is very, very high.
But
He
it
set a
also-
very high bar.
Arizona's now purple, which is fascinating as well. And also, it's not full Trump country. I think people sometimes think that Arizona is full Trump. He only won it by 3%. My father won his election by 14 points.
Yeah.
It is still a very independent, civically minded group of Arizonans who take their right to vote very seriously. And I think going forward into the general, if you think Arizona is locked and loaded for Trump, be wary.
Yeah.
This is a sign to
Well,
come.
the other thing, a woman took her oath of office not on the Constitution.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I
That's
also-
fabulous.
But also 2.1 million Latinos live in Arizona.
Yes.
And a lot of them came out to vote. And so that's a very different demographic. And I think Sinema's campaign was pretty smart in reaching out to the Latino community because that is such a big part of Arizona.
And also,
Right.
go ahead, baby.
I was just going to say that's a great point. A third of Arizonans are
Changing demographic.
Latino.
Yeah.
But I think it's a wake-up call for the Republican Party. It's not just in Arizona. You saw what happened in Texas. Ted Cruz barely squeaked by. There's not a demographic trend today that benefits the Republican Party. The country doesn't look like the Trump rallies. And I think what happened in Arizona should be a lesson for Republicans going forward. You need to represent the changing demographics. You need to speak to those people.
Is that why they keep wanting to stop the vote count? Because they're having trouble
Well, let's
winning?
talk about that because I wanted to point out
And
also.
fought well done by Martha McSally. I mean, kudos to both. There were two women running for Senate.
Yes.
It's historical.
And she was a woman, the rival Martha McSally, who you're talking about, sent a very gracious concession speech as well.
her cute
And
dog.
I think that one of the things that we may be seeing is a BS fatigue. I think people may not appreciate the name calling. I think people are just getting tired of it, and because nothing's getting done.
Right.
Yeah.
And people are just going, let's move forward. So, congratulations. I hope that it is a good time for the folks in Arizona because it's going to be brand new.
Selfishly, I'd love to have Kirsten on the show if she would like to come on. I'd be
Come
very
on,
interested in
King.
what she say. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Still ahead, Obama's in counseling. Former First Lady Michelle Obama opens up about why she and Barack reached out for help in their marriage.
So from the beauty of of Arizona to the madness of Florida. Shouts of voter fraud from Republicans like Governor Rick Scott are getting louder. Lawsuits are mounting, and it's gotten so bad that a federal judge said, cut it out. There is no evidence of any voter fraud right now. Now, you know, when you have you-know-who in the White House saying, cheat at your own peril, signatures don't match electoral corruption, call for a new election, we must protect our democracy, they're trying to steal the election! How come they never find Republican votes? Actually, they have found Republican votes. That's why it's not clear who's won. That's why you have to keep counting, because you have two sides. Duh!
But this is like when he's trying to stop the Mueller investigation. You know, he's trying to stop anything that's going to, any proof or evidence that there is anything going on. By the way, a lot of these ballots coming, I guess they're absentee ballots, are coming from the military.
That's right.
Which might be Republican votes, many of them.
They
And I
could
don't
be.
see why the Republican Party wants to stop the military
What-
all of a sudden.
Are they scared?
Well, I
Is
don't-
that why they're wanting
Yes,
to stop it?
yes.
To interject on this, and I think every vote should 100% take the time to be counted.
Yes.
Obviously. But Brenda Snipes, who's the woman in charge, the supervisor for Broward County, which is where a lot of this has been going on, she illegally destroyed physical ballots for a 2016 race 21 months after a medical marijuana amendment was just completely left off the ballot in 2016. This specific county has had a lot of controversy in its background and seems to be always sort of the stem of
But
a lot
she's
of
still on the
problems.
job?
Yeah.
She still is.
then
She was
fire her.
elected
But
by
She's
Jazz.
been elected.
But the thing is, I think there's been I think on the Republican side, you're hearing so much about this woman, Brenda Snipes, and the bottom line is she did destroy the ballots, but it was 12 months after the election. So it's not like
But
it
22
changed
months
the
are required
election.
by law.
22 months are required by law, but it's not like it changed the election. And so the suggestion somehow that
But does it
Broward
bother
County
me that
would
some amendments were left off the ballot?
that does bother me.
Okay.
But the suggestion somehow that, like, you know, Broward County, which does largely skew democratically, is the problem, I think is a little bit dishonest.
Well, but
and
here's the bottom line. Listen,
disingenuous.
because of all of these inconsistencies, then count the ballots.
Yeah, they
then
count
do
all
it,
of them.
and then you won't be wondering whether you won or lost, and it won't be a problem.
Right.
The only reason it's a problem is if you're not sure you won. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you won. So let's count them.
Yeah.
But I think going forward in this specific county, whether it's her or someone else, they're obviously it consistently has a problem
Yeah.
in every election cycle.
Remember,
So they
Bush
should
Ward
have
was like
some more
36
people,
days.
more
Yeah.
people involved,
It wasn't
maybe with
her.
making
Right.
it
It wasn't
easier.
her, but
Wasn't
Florida
her.
in general
But it took
was
36
there.
days to count Bush Gore.
Right.
So, you know, it is going to happen, and it is people from around the world and in the military, so count them. What's it? It's going to take
Yeah.
more seconds. What the hell?
Yeah.
Look at that. That's
The holiday party continues on JuniorDeal.com. We partnered with vendors for at least half off awesome items, perfect for celebrating this season. So get there now.
Welcome back. Yesterday we lost Stan Lee. He was the mastermind of the Marvel Universe. He created the Avengers, Black Panther, Spider-Man, and the X-Men, to name a few. He was a really interesting man and a guy who hated racism, and you'd find it in the comics from time to time, and they will like him. And so to you, I say to use just one of your own sign-offs, Excelsior. Okay. So, First Lady Michelle Obama sat down with Robin Roberts to talk about her new memoir, Becoming, where she admits that she and Barack had to work on their marriage. Take a look.
Marriage counseling for us was one of those ways where we learned how to talk out our differences. What I learned about myself was that my happiness was up to me. I know too many young couples who struggle and think that somehow there's something wrong with them. And I want them to know that Michelle and Barack Obama, who have a phenomenal marriage and who love each other, we work on our marriage.
And there's apparently a stigma around marriage counseling for a lot of couples, you know.
Well, I never liked it because you say things that you regret. You know, like she fell asleep during foreplay, for example. and then
Just a friend.
and then you can never take those words back. And he remembers that for the rest of his life. So I worry about marriage counseling. But I would say if you go before you're married, not after you're married, it's too late then. If you
Yeah.
go before, you find out stuff that you didn't know. Like,
But
he hates children, whatever.
Oh, so like
hates dogs.
the pre-Cana counseling.
Well, the Catholic Church, I did that.
I did pre-Cana counseling.
Yeah, we did the
But
same
that's
thing.
just about being a Catholic.
But it's like premarital counseling. Like I think that's kind
From
of
a priest, what does he know about that?
He knows
Not
about
really.
God and the Holy Union. God and the Holy Union and the
Yeah, but
sacrament
there's
of marriage.
nothing like real in the trenches. You know.
I think counseling actually has saved so many marriages. I've talked to many of my friends, even people in my family. I didn't, but I've talked on the show about it. The first year of marriage was the hardest for me, and looking back, we could have gone. I'm sure that could have been helpful because you learn things that. The problem for a lot of couples is you don't know sometimes how to get to the root of the problem. You don't know how to talk about the right thing or how to get to an end point. And so it depends on the couple. For a lot of people like Michelle, I think it's great she's giving people that
And it's
advice.
great
Do you know what I was
talking
thinking in
about
that clip? Actually, the ratings of any Democrat in the country, and there's a reason. Because she's honest and raw, and
Yeah.
she's
She's
speaking
right.
candidly in a way. I can't imagine, there's very few people in politics I can't imagine openly talking about their IVF struggles, saying, we struggled in a relationship.
Right.
Think of how many political couples you know that want to keep it on the surface. And
Well, that's why Betty
She does
Ford
it
was so
does it
great.
well.
She talked
Agreed.
about her
Yes.
alcoholism.
Yeah.
She was
I
very
mean,
popular.
If
too.
you are a human being, other human beings need to know that you're struggling and that they can believe what you
Especially
say.
if you're a role
think.
model.
Well, and even if you're not, even if you're just somebody who's just starting out, let people know that you've been through it. Have some idea of what they're going through.
Yeah. Relatable.
We'll be right back.
Do the frontrunner star Hugh Jackman and director Jason Reitman think the sex scandal that ruined Gary Hart's political career would matter to voters today? They're live on The View next.
Yes, I am. The new movie, The Front Runner, the always incredible Hugh Jackman plays disgraced politician Gary Hart, whose 1988 presidential campaign was the first to be derailed by a sex scandal. Oh, if it was only still that easy. Take a look.
People are sacrificing for you.
And I'm not sacrificing what? Should I sacrifice my privacy, Bill, my self-respect? Then it won't just be me that gets dragged down. None of those kids you're talking about will work another campaign or some count for who comes and goes from their bedroom. And that is just the beginning.
Okay, but we're not talking about that right now.
I am talking about that.
We're talking about how you get through today without pissing away everything we've all worked for on this campaign.
Bill, this campaign is about the future, not rumors, not sleaze. And I care about the sanctity of this process, whether you do or do not.
Please welcome the fabulous Hugh Jackman and director of The Front Runner, Jason Reitman. Come on, you guys.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, sweetie.
Birthday.
I know that.
You're clearly not into it at all. Don't mention it.
Well, listen, I said earlier that for me, birthdays are I celebrate them because of all the people who didn't get to be my age.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you're above ground, you should be celebrated.
And actually, Hugh, you celebrated a big birthday.
I did.
You turned
Mine on.
50. The big 50.
I did.
We have that in common. I just celebrated my 50th.
Yeah.
And you had a big celebrity-studded party. But the one headline that came out was that you have been longtime friends with Ivanka and Jared Kushner.
Yep.
And they were there.
Yep.
And you have been able to maintain your friendship by not talking about politics.
Is that the secret?
Well, yeah, like if anything. I mean, I've known them for 15 years. Deb and I have known them. We're in a similar group of friends. They've always been so kind and generous, and I can tell you handwritten letters that Ivanka's written to my mother-in-law when she won the Order of Australia that I didn't know about, and kindness. And so, people question, well, really? And I'm like, okay, let's say your friends of 15 years' father became president. Whether you agree with the politics or not, do you just dump your friends? And I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Not a real friend.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's good. So, Jason.
Which friends of mine are you about to write?
All of them.
Let's go.
Speaking of politics, you wrote and directed this movie, and I just want to say it is really nice to see you because you've been doing amazing work over the years, and we've not really met, and I just want to tell you, I'm really proud of what you do. I'm really proud of your movies.
To say. Thank you.
So you directed this, and this is a sex scandal that brought down Gary Hart's campaign 30 years ago. But you say it's a movie kind of how people kind of look at politics today.
Yeah, well, I think there's all this connective tissue with that story and what is happening today. I mean, look, I feel like I'm like everyone here. We all have the same morning routine. We wake up, we open our phone, we open up the news app, and just go, wait, what? And we're all trying to figure out how the hell we got here. And I can't help but look at the story and see the kind of seeds, threads that you pull on to get us here.
But it's almost, Gary Hart's story is almost quaint compared to Trump. I mean, one little scandal, he's got a girl in his lap, etc. This is really a remarkable, he's got 16 women accusing him of, plus a porn star and plus another woman who has such a, I mean, this should have brought him down and it did not. That's what's fascinating.
And that's why it's so hard to have that conversation in 2018. The volume is at a 12. You go on a Twitter, you say one wrong thing, you think you're going to get your head ripped off. And, what's nice about a story from 1987 is that you can kind of bring the volume down a little and actually have a conversation about gender politics, about the line between a public and a private life, the relationship between politicians and journalists, all of these things we're trying to talk about.
And, a lot of people, it's funny you said that. Brought him down. He chose to leave, and that's something that Gary always said to me. He chose to leave at that point. It wasn't like he was forced out. He could see where things were going. And Megan, obviously know Gary well because
he's one of my father's pallbearers. He's a good friend of my family. Is it interesting to spend time with someone who's actually a real life person that you have to portray?
It's nerve-wracking and interesting and fascinating. He's an incredibly smart guy. He's often described as one of the smartest politicians of the last 50 years, and he still is so switched on, can talk to you about any subject. He was an envoy to Northern Ireland recently, and there's so many things he's done, but when you get off the plane and you're there and Gary Hart's at the curbside to pick you up and you're saying in his house, that's a moment of reckoning when you realize, okay, we are portraying the worst 3 weeks of his life and in 6 months from now he's going to see the movie and it really becomes real then. And I wanted him to know how seriously we took it. It's his story. It's not just his story. It's Donna Rice's story. It's the campaign workers' story. It's everybody's story.
Did he see it? Did he give his opinion about it?
Yeah, I brought the movie to Denver to show him and his wife, and that's the most terrifying screening of my life. It's scarier than when I showed my father my first few shows. And I brought it to Denver, and they walked out, and the first thing they said was, Hugh Jackman is such a good actor.
It's such a great movie, and it's so. I saw the film last night. I thought it was very respectful of their relationship because and the troubles that ensued from the perhaps affair. So
Gary was
really
mainly
well
worried
done.
as a man, very protective,
I would think so.
as you saw in the clip, protective of the political process, protective of his family. And the thing he was most nervous about was how his family was portrayed. And he told me on the phone, please tell Vera Farmiga how amazing she was as Lee. They're still married. They've been married for 60 years. And he said his wife is the strongest woman that he's ever met.
They've been married for how long?
60 plus.
Yeah, and you could see that in the film. It was just so well done.
Incredible. Well, Hugh, I want to ask you about this because you've got, on more of a fun, light note, an ongoing feud with a frenemy, Ryan Reynolds. And he just took the feud to the next level in honor of the frontrunner. He took out a negative smear campaign ad against you and he revealed some
Spent a lot of money.
flattering details about you.
Oh my
What's this?
gosh.
Consider these facts. Hugh Jackman isn't his real name. It's Hugh Michael Jackman. Hugh Michael speaks with a charming accent, but he's actually from Milwaukee. He then walked off the job on Wolverine, adding to unemployment. Is this the type of amazing actor and nice person we want delivering a preachy liberal speech this award season? Or maybe there's a real foreigner from a bordering country who would really love it. Alon, think before you vote.
I'm coming for you, man. I'm coming for you.
Well, you
Weren't
should.
you lucky to find such a handsome actor to play a handsome politician?
I am so lucky that he said yes. Look, he was an actor who was known for his generosity, his decency, and his work ethic, and all of that proved to be 100% true.
He's the best.
Well, as it turns out, also, I want to just point out, you also lucked out. Because this one makes great film.
He makes great
This
films.
Why don't we
makes
make a movie together? This is,
you know, look, you're just, you are your own person, and I love that. Your dad was extraordinary, but you are your own
that's
person,
the
and
kindest thing you could say.
you make the things that you make, and you're good, and I love that.
Love you so much. You're gonna go. Juno, Up in the Air. Thank you. They're all movies about real people going
He's
through real
really good. I've
problems.
seen he's
yeah,
brilliant.
he's amazing.
I'm sorry. Our thanks to Hugh Jackman and Jason
Happy
Reitman.
birthday.
Thank you. The Front Runner is in select theaters now and will open nationwide November 21st. If you don't know the story, go see it.
Yeah.
If you do know the story, go see it because you don't know as much as you think you do. We'll be right back. Oh, no, stop bugging me. I'm not telling you that I'm doing my favorite things next. You got it out of me. You know, it is my birthday, and on my birthday, I love finding stuff that maybe nobody else has. So right now, I want to show you some unique stuff that I love, and I'm giving to folks this year. This is the Wine Lovers thing. It's an amazing suitcase. It's the Vinegard Valise. VinegardValise.com. It's about $200 to $300. It's a great gift for the traveling wine collector. Now, well, hold on. You wait. You love this. This travel case, they have travel cases that hold and protect up to 12 bottles of wine. There are removable inserts that allow you to customize this travel case. Now, the great thing about this is if you're not a wine person, you can put a bottle of anything in here. Or you can just use it as a suitcase because it works, because it's really hard to mess this up, okay?
Yes.
They can throw it around. If it's not going to break the bottles, it ain't going to hurt your clothes, okay? That's what you got to know. And you know what? For all you traveling wine lovers in our audience, you're going to get the petite suitcase.
Yeah.
Come on, baby. This you're going to love. Now, if you're not in the suitcase mode, and sometimes you're not. Sometimes you just want to carry a bag. So we have the Portofino wine bags. Portofino.com, $45 to $75. Now the bags allow you to store and pour up to 2 of any wine bottle or any other beverage.
I know.
It's an insulated pocket that holds a removable reservoir with spout.
Yep.
So you put this, you put your
See right
drink,
here?
whatever it is, you put it right in there, then you put this in there, baby. I'm telling you, I go on Kool-Aid walks with this. Because I'm not a big drinker, but I do like a lot of water. So if you're walking and you want to look fly, and you know you need to have some water, put your water in here. You can do it. So, and the great thing also is a portion of the proceeds go towards feeding starving children.
It's amazing.
It's an amazing thing.
Yes.
And you know what? Y'all look kind of happy. Yeah, you can take this home.
Yeah.
Come on, girl.
I want this one myself. I went to a dry wedding recently, and this would have come in handy.
Yeah,
I like
you
that.
see, there will be no more dry weddings in your future if you carry this bag, okay? Now, these people, the Werther folks, I love them. Werther cutlery, and the cutting boards are fantastic. I have a lot of them. I can't cook, but I do like looking at the boards in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And they're about $80. It's WertherCutlery.com. This cutting board, this is really my favorite, because you'll see that it has a 5-inch sandwich knife. It's hidden in here. And I always I'll cut something and put the knife down, and then it's like, oh, well, where did I put it? You will remember to put it back in here. Okay, you'll remember to do that. It's a fantastic thing. And the clips are there to sort of keep it in here and the board is like, easy storage. It's fantastic. And they can personalize it with engraving, as you see here. It's fantastic. And y'all look too good. Y'all look too good. You know, you're getting one of these too. These are really simple, but I love them because when you have folks at your house and you have a little gathering, whether it's 2 people or 25 people, you should have something that makes them laugh at the table. So this is one of my favorite things. Sense and Humor gifts. SenseandHumor.com. They're about $10 and up. And I love these bathroom towels because they say, hurry back, we're talking about you. And they have lots of different ones. This one, we had to black out the first word that precedes list. So you can let your mind wander.
Trump is on your list, the blank list. You can expect.
No, but it's kind of it's not. It's a word I can't say on television. Okay, but that's what this is. Your list. Okay, so they make all kinds of great stuff, and look, they have like little things, and they're just little tchotchkes, but they're great. Isn't that funny?
Home for Christmas and in therapy by New Year's.
Yes, it's great. And you know what? You all look so good. I just feel like you should have all these too. This product is going to help you sleep and wake up better than before. So it's Somno Sleep and Wake Up Light. Now, what this does, it's Philips.com and Somno.com. It's about $200. This Wake Up Light simulates the natural transition of night to morning, and it will make you feel more rested and more energetic. It's not a big wah-wah sound. It's just a gradual thing, and I think you can use it with kids to sort of get them to feel better and to wake them up gently, because sometimes you just want to slowly bring them around. And it helps you fall asleep with a light guided breathing feature. It's like, you breathe and then you're out. It's kind of wonderful. And you all look like you can use some rest, so you're going to get Y'all know I went to the Coach over the last couple of months for Fashion Week, and Coach is a product and a company that is reinventing itself. They are doing amazing stuff. I had on some sneakers. I was going to wear them today, but they're not out yet, and I didn't want to mess y'all up. And so Coach sneakers, and it's Coach C143 sneakers, Coach.com, 200 to about $275. And this is a sporty retro inspired sneaker. It has a technically crafted sole, and it has sole. It's available for men and women. Yes, various styles, including glitter panels, shielding, removable charms, leather, and suede. Ooh. And it comes in a variety of colors. And you know what Coach did for me, but for you? They said, can we give everybody in the audience a $200 gift certificate?
Whoopi's getting a special birthday performance of one of the biggest classics in Motown history.
Hey, hold on, I know you have something planned, but we have something planned too.
Oh. Legend perform at a gala for Glenn Close's amazing Bring Change to Mind organization, and I couldn't think of a better birthday present to myself. So here to perform the Motown classic, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, is the woman who wrote it. Along with her partner, Valerie Simpson with my good friend Paul Schaefer on the piano.
If you need me, call me. No matter where you are, no matter how far, Whoopi, you can call my name. I'll be there and on that you can depend and never worry. No wind, no rain, no rain, or winter's cold. Ooh, baby, if you're my goal. Oh, no wind, no rain, no. I know you must follow the sun wherever it leads. But if you should fall short of your desires, just remember what I told you the day I set you free. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from you. Mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from you. Ain't no mountain high enough, nothing can keep me from you. Ain't no mountain high enough, nothing can keep me from you. Thanks to Valerie Simpson, Paul Schaefer, and the band, and a special thank you to Armstrong for making these beautiful cakes today.
Yeah.
They are spectacular. Everyone, we want you to have a great day, and we want you to take a little time to enjoy the view and hug a friend if you get the opportunity. Happy birthday to us all.